Welcome to the Print Commandments, brought to you by DigiWild.co. In this instructional video, we're going to give you recommendations and tips on how to design and lay out your own dye sublimation products for print. Print Commandment 1. Here, a great designer has come up with a great idea for a sweatshirt. And they've taken their imagery and they've laid it into an image or a mock-up of a sweatshirt. And they have carefully cut out the portions of the image that they want to use and lay it out. And it's great for looking at it and seeing how it might look on a sweatshirt. However, a printer cannot use this particular image as it's constructed in order to print. When this product is printed and transferred to the shirt, it will lay out spread eagle. And so the biggest problem with using these mock-ups is just that. They're mock-ups. They're not designed for a printer to be able to print your product. So then, what do? Well, we've come up with a remedy that might be able to help the designer, especially when using an all-over one image. This is our original brand template that is used to create long sleeves and crew neck sweatshirts. You'll see that it has a stencil on it, what we call a stencil viewer, that gives you an idea of what the image may look like. Even though you're viewing it as one whole object, it's actually chopped up into 3 different parts. The middle part, or chest, or what we call the torso, the right sleeve, and the left sleeve. Now we're going to walk you through how to use a single image and make it an all-over print for a long sleeve or for a crew neck sweater. First, you need to select your image. Here's tip number 2, or print commandment number 2. Always use a high resolution image as your subject or your art. Many beginner designers make the mistake of using low resolution photos for their artwork to do all over printing. But the problem with that is you take a very tiny image and then try to blow it up. It then becomes pixelated and fuzzy when it's printed out, and it doesn't give you a good resolution for print. Well, you may say, how do I know the difference between high resolution images and low resolution images? For example, if you're getting it from the internet, then chances are it could be a low resolution if you don't check to see what the dimensions of the actual image are. Here we're going to take an image for instructional purposes only from the internet in order to be able to make an all-over image or all-over print. And we're going to use the subject matter of a beach, because this way you'll have an opportunity to see how a one subject piece of art can be laid out over an all-over print. So let's take a look at the different pieces that we see on the internet here. And we've selected this picture. Now, we take a look at the dimensions. We see that it's 1920 by 1200. Well, we've searched for HD, or high resolution images, so this image will be a good one for us to use. If you see it where it's 130 times 98, then that would not be a good image to use for an all-over print. Now that we've chosen our high resolution image, we'll just drag and drop it into the stencil view finder mode of our template. And then we will begin to enlarge our image or drag it out over the stencil so that we can see how it will look. Now here's a tip. You want to take the corners and you Shift Alt and then hold down your cursor, and you can begin to drag the image in proportion, and that will be important. Then we place our image. And once our image has been placed, we will then go to the layer section of our image. And of course, you already use this in Photoshop. So now what we will do is go to the layer that has the stencil viewer, and we will put that on top of our image. Now we can begin to see what our layout may look like in terms of our chest area and our sleeves. And the reason that we've used this beach scene is so that you can have a landscape design just for purposes of being able to lay out different images or different things and place them where you want them to be. And so you can decide by selecting again this image and then begin to adjust with the stencil viewer on. If you wanted to move your image around, you could then begin to move the item as you want it, where you want it to go, and place it where you like, moving it up, down, or around, and positioning your image where you want it to go to your taste. Once you are satisfied with the placement of your image over the stencil, then we will go back into the layers section and we will begin to make 2 more copies of this image. So you select that, with that being selected, and you can drag and drop down and create a copy. Why do we need to make 3 copies, you may ask? Because again, our stencil is broken up into 3 separate pieces: the torso, the right sleeve, and the left sleeve. And we will have to manipulate this image 3 times in order for us to be able to cut out the sections for our all over print. So now we will begin the process of being able to manipulate this image to cut out the 3 different pieces that we need to make our all over product. Well, the good thing about our deluxe template is that we have done all the hard work for you so that you don't have to go in and be able to manipulate these shapes. We've put automatic cutouts in it for you by using paths. So now we're going to turn off our stencil viewer, and now we're going to manipulate the first layer of this image for the torso. So now we go to our paths viewer and make sure that our paths are turned on. And if you don't know how to do that, then what you want to do is go to the window section of Photoshop and make sure that the paths section is selected and you can see it. Likewise, you want to make sure your layers are selected so you can see and manipulate those. And with the torso being selected by it being highlighted, we'll go down to this 3rd button from the left, which is load path as a selection. And with that being chosen, we will click on that. And now it selects the layer or this image to now be ready to cut out. Next, we want to go to select. hit select, and we want to hit inverse because we want to delete all of the rest of the image that's on the outside, and we want to keep the middle. We also need to make sure that our image is ready to be rasterized first. So we would have to go to Layer, hit Rasterize, the Smart Object. And rasterize means basically simply that you can manipulate it or use it. Okay? And so now it's ready to be manipulated or used. And so since we have all of our proper things selected, we are now ready to go ahead and hit delete. And presto, our torso portion is created. And then we would go here simply and deselect. And now what I would recommend, a good tip, is to go ahead and label this layer, torso. All right. So now we're ready to go to our next layer, which is a copy. And we turn it back on, and we're ready to manipulate this as well. So now we go to the next path, which is for the right sleeve. And with right sleeve being highlighted, we go down to our third button from the left, which again, then it selects the image that we want to use. Of course, again, we go here and select inverse. Again, making sure that our layer is rasterized. Rasterize the smart object. And then we delete. And presto, we have our right sleeve. And by turning on our layer on and off by simply hitting this I button, we can turn on and off the layers. So now we turn on our torso and see how our all over print crew neck or long sleeve is coming together. Again, we would deselect now and label this. And we're going to make a third or fourth copy just for good measure, just in case. So now we go to our third layer, which is now just a third copy of this image, so that we can now cut out our left sleeve. And by highlighting the left sleeve path and then going to our third button from the left, which is called Load Path as a Selection, select it. Make sure our image is rasterized. Now we will go to our final layer to make the left sleeve by making sure that the left sleeve path is highlighted. Then we go down to our Load Path as a Selection. Click on that, make sure that it's rasterized. Then hit select, inverse, and now we clear. And presto, we have our left sleeve. And so now we just hit deselect, and now we can turn up. Let's make sure that we label this, because that'll be important down the line. Now we can begin to turn on our other layers to see how our all over sweatshirt has come out. And as you can see, the way that this is laid out, you're going to lose some of the parts of your original image, as you can see. And if you want to see what parts of the original image that you will lose, you will use your stencil viewer. you will use your stencil viewer layer. I'll simply turn it on, and you can automatically see what portions of the image that you're going to lose. Okay, when this is printed and pressed, it will be done in almost a cut and sew like fashion. If you're worried about losing the part of the image here and you want to have it precisely put together, then you would probably want to do cut and sew versus doing all over print. Now you would want to save your image, and then the PSD file would be sent back to us for print. So you see, that's easy as 1, 2, and 3. This has been our deluxe version of our template. Again, that's available for sale by contacting us at info@digiwow.co. Now, you're welcome to use whatever template that you may have. However, we do not guarantee the results. Plus, you get a superb looking product by using our deluxe design layout here, as you can see.